Good morning, YouTube. It is Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023, 7:52 a.m. Well, here's my big moment of truth. The moment where I find out, does the local judicial system work for me? I'll be honest, I don't have very high hopes. I do believe that James Tinker has been working hard on trying to present a defense for me today. Now, if there have been any kind of disclosures from the other side beyond simply the police report, I haven't seen them. I don't know what they are. He's supposed to meet me at 8:45. Now, he has another trial going on, so he's not going to be able to spend the pre-trial time with me. He's going to focus on something else. And that, to me, is one of the biggest fails of the whole public defender system, is that public defenders have too much of a caseload to properly represent anybody more often than not. But I digress. Anyway, meet him at 8:45. I'm going to do my damnedest to be there. I don't have a current monthly transit pass. However, in all the stuff that I mailed my daughter, which I haven't heard back from her to confirm whether or not she got all the cards I sent to her, I'm going to assume she didn't, because she hasn't been texting me back asking about them. And her texts to me seem to have stopped. So that's probably means that she's fine and feels she doesn't have any need to contact me anymore. God, I wonder where she gets that from. So one of the things that was with her cards was an unused Valley Metro Day Pass. And part of me wanted to send that to her because, after all, it is hers, but no way of knowing when she's going to be back here in Phoenix. And I got a thing from Valley Metro within the last couple of months talking about how a new fare system was being imposed on everybody. Particularly those who use disabled bus passes, which is what I generally use. And without getting completely sidetracked on what that was all about, by the way, I was not happy about it. He wanted me to complete a survey, so I gave them my negative opinions. One of the major things that I did get out of it and learn out of it, which I'm glad I know, is that those particular bus passes are being eliminated. And if they're not used by the time they're no longer usable, they will be useless. So it occurred to me that, yeah, probably I should keep it for myself and use it if there comes a point where I really need it, rather than mail it to her and either have her lose it, or by the time she gets back here and needs to use it, it's no longer valid. So today's the day I need to use it. So hey, at least I did a good job of having that set aside. Not like I couldn't afford to buy one, but at this point, well, depending on how you define afforded to buy, I can't, because I mean, my rent is due now and I don't have it. But it's Tuesday and I get direct deposit on Wednesday, and I haven't even gotten the first text message from Lon asking where my rent is. So I'm not sweating that as much as I probably should be. I am confident that I'm going to start getting some additional work via temp apps. I signed up for InstaWork, although I haven't fully completed that. I think I'm close to the point where I can get jobs on it, and they're certainly have noticed that, and they're sending emails saying, hey, finish this, work waiting for you, work is waiting for you. And WorkWhile is trying to put me to work for HelloFresh, giving me the shifts that I used to get from HelloFresh on Wonolo. I was really worried that I would be cut off from those because they had forced me to do another background check, and this one was through Checker, the one that is not spelled correctly, their name, to, make it edgy and unique. But I don't know, it just makes them look stupid to me. If you're going to spell a word, spell it correctly. Come on, now. So those luxury apartments on the right are coming together pretty nicely now. I can only imagine what the cost of living is going to be there, how it's going to otherwise affect the cost of living in my neighborhood. And meanwhile, we got a panhandler on the left side of the freeway, because that's what the cost of living is doing to a lot of people. Fortunately, it's also what drugs is doing to a lot of people. So look at him and make your own call. Cost of living or drugs? I'm going to say yes. Anyway, I'm on my way to court. I have not read the police report. And the more I think about that, the better I feel about it. I read enough to know that the police officer makes inappropriate legal conclusions as if he is a judge when he is not, and puts them down as if they are fact when they're not facts. They're conclusions based on lies. And I'm confident that the rest of that is garbage. And rather than let that upset me, I'm trying to focus on how this court is supposed to go. It is the county's job, well actually in this case the city's job, to prove my guilt. Beyond a reasonable doubt. I don't have to prove my innocence. I don't have to prove that anything in that police report is wrong. They have to prove that I've committed, by statutory definition, whatever class of misdemeanor assault they've got me on multiple charges of. Now, there's a good chance the witnesses might not show up. I mean, I expect the cop's going to show up. Cop gets paid to show up. But as far as the actual witness who saw something, with the cop, it's going to all be hearsay. And I want to make sure that Tinker's on board with objections to hearsay. Because some judges don't seem to understand that hearsay is not allowed. And don't tell people as they're presenting hearsay that, hey, that's hearsay, you can't present that. Some judges don't seem to understand it's something they're supposed to do. And I expect the city of Phoenix Municipal Judge to fall right into that. One thing that I've learned in all my court wranglings, which I had a lot of during the pendency in the years after my divorce, and I learned a lot from my ex-girlfriend Connie, who was a disbarred lawyer, and granted she pushed things a little too far, that's why she's a disbarred lawyer. But I also learned a lot from my friend Karen, who is a family attorney in very good standing with an amazing reputation, who I've unfortunately lost touch with, and I still owe quite a bit of money to, but that's a separate tragedy. Wait. Lost dog. And this rule doesn't get followed very often, especially in lower court criminal cases. But one thing I've learned, and the important thing, in a criminal trial in a lower court, is to make sure you're laying the groundwork for a potential appeal. Because you can't present anything in appeal you didn't present it in the lower court. And so one thing that definitely needs to be done is if they try to present that police report as some sort of evidence, it needs to be objected to immediately as a hearsay document, because it is 100% a hearsay document. At the very least, anything that is hearsay needs to be redacted from it. But as the police didn't observe anything of the incident, all they did is interview people that were involved in the incident, myself and whatever other people were there at Costco. It's all hearsay. So nothing that's in there, and be in it, also nothing that the police can't recount anything that they were told. It's all hearsay. It's all objection. So we definitely need to be on the hearsay. I think without hearsay, especially if people from Costco don't show up in court, I don't feel they have a case. Mr. Tinker, when I was talking to him yesterday, and I got pretty riled up about it as well. You just need to be calm in court. I said, well, it's not that easy for me. But one thing that is easy for me, if I'm not on the stand, is not saying anything. I do have the Fifth Amendment right to be silent, and the Fifth Amendment right to not have to testify against myself. They only get the right to cross-examine me if I testify myself in presentation of my own case. And the state has to present their case first. So hopefully the state's incapable of doing that. It doesn't have enough. I have won some criminal cases in the past in this way, because I know I'm kind of loose cannon once I'm on the stand, and I'm just going to look unreasonable, and that's just my more my demeanor, mannerisms as an autistic person, and I'm sure that probably influenced the way this guy reacted to me. You know, a lot of people don't know how to interpret and react to somebody who has the sort of mental health issues that I have, and often they'll misinterpret it as, oh, well, he's on drugs, or he's suspicious, or he's a problem. No, I'm just severely mentally ill, and I'm just doing my best to cope with a world that isn't really very accommodating for me and live my life in a law-abiding sort of way. That's what I'm trying to do. You know, that particular moment in time, I was just trying to get on the scooter and go get some food for my cats. A scooter that I had already paid for and was therefore already my mode of transportation. This guy prevented me from unlocking, even though it was in an open space where it shouldn't have been a problem. And as much as he tried to contend, well, it was too close to the door, it was not a safe distance from the door, I definitely gave James Tinker enough photos to show that no, I was not right up by the door. I was a good safe distance away. This guy had no business being there. His stated goal was to protect the people coming out of that door. Then he should have been by that door where those people were, as opposed to over the bike rack where I was trying to unlock my scooter to leave myself. Hopefully everything will be fine. Right now I'm just at the mercy of Valley Metro getting their train here. Oh, she's cute. So Priscilla asked if something about did I want to go get her, so bring her with me today. Only she understands when I go downtown I take public transit. I just told her, like, no, I'm going to have enough trouble getting myself there in the morning, and I don't see how any additional sexual frustration would be helpful. So if she genuinely wanted to do something to help me at court today, she could have stayed the night in my bed and relieve my sexual tension after work and given me a little extra energy in the morning. She could have done that for me, and that would have been helpful. And after that, I'd have been completely fine with her, like, you know, coming with me here and riding with me on the train. But in lieu of that, no, her presence is just going to be additional frustration that I don't need. Anyway, how much time have I used here? 16 minutes. The frequency of the light rail in Phoenix is just awful. And I watched a really good video the other day on YouTube, but it's not the first video I've seen on the subject, but talking about how rail stations fail if they don't have transit-oriented development within a 500-foot radius of them, and that what needs to be immediately adjacent to rail stations is pedestrian infrastructure as opposed to pedestrian hostile car infrastructure. The station here, I think, serves as a prime example of what not to do with a lot of stuff that is wrong with a couple of things that are right. Throw a twist and start with a couple of things that are right. So directly across that crosswalk and over there, while there's nothing now, 3 days a week there's Park and Swap, which is the largest swap meet in all of Arizona and has been for a long time. I would say that's a good thing. That's something that pedestrians and people who travel by rail would want to go to. So there's definitely one destination there, even though it's limited to only a couple days a week. It's definitely a pedestrian-worthy destination, even if to get there from light rail you have to go across this half of the strode and get past that sea of parking. At least there is a good pedestrian-worthy destination there. On the other side over there is Gateway Community College. It's a college campus. I mean, that's definitely also a win for public transit. And as much as urbanism, transit positive type videos and community loves to bag on park and rides, I do love that little park and ride there. If it wasn't for the park and ride, I wouldn't be here. I would be getting on the train somewhere else where I could find suitable parking adjacent. So I know I'm in the minority being in favor of park and ride lots. And while I don't think they should dominate a rail station, I do think it's a nice component to have. As far as pedestrian hostile infrastructure, I mean, this is literally located in the middle of this road, to the point where we've had to put do not cross tracks on the tracks. Like, it shouldn't be an issue with cross the tracks. They should be able to just come right out of the station and connect to stuff. The track should be in the middle and the platform should be on the outside, where you're not having to cross tracks to get to stuff, where you just depart the train and walk to your destination. You shouldn't be having to cross lanes of dangerous traffic and tracks and stuff to get to your destinations from a rail station. So it's a big fail just on the location of the station, and that's the way most stations are in the Valley Metro rail system, unfortunately. Within the 500-foot radius, I mean, we got good destination number one. Also, the Phoenix Greyhound Park. They haven't raised the Greyhound. It's here in probably over a decade, so it's funny that they still even call it that. But if that was still there, that would qualify as a good destination as well, I think, for pedestrians. But while that is good, and while the college is good, over here you literally have a private parking lot of off-site parking for the airport called the parking spot. Except for people who ride transit to go to work there, that's not a transit-oriented destination whatsoever. As you can see, there's no residential anywhere walking distance from this transit station here. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. That's all that's comfortable walking distance from this transit station. Now, about a quarter mile that way, there's the Mexican food restaurant formerly known as Speedy Street Tacos, and I just haven't really enjoyed that place since they moved in their new building. While the food is still there and it's still good, it's kind of been priced out of my price range, and all the ambience that the old place had has been lost in the relocation to the new place. So, and yeah, that's it. There comes my train, so I'm going to wrap this up. I don't see what time it is, but I'm pretty sure I'm doing good considering I'm supposed to meet James Tinker at 8:45 in the Phoenix City Court building. And yeah, it's only 8:14. I got 30 minutes to get there. I should be fine. I'll never understand why they tried to make that not an exit for the rail platform. Somebody else followed me right off it, just exactly the way I walked too. So, dang. I checked the time right before I started this video so I can say what time it is. Do I remember what time it was? Nope. It's 8:28 a.m. Tuesday, October 3rd. So I'm pretty much right on time. Supposed to meet him at 8:45. And it's just a couple block walk from where I'm at to the Phoenix Municipal Courthouse. Curious what happened with the whole debate regarding the light rail extension around the Capitol. I still find it completely unnecessary. I think what needs to be done with transit to the Capitol is they just need to revise the Dash loop route and put it on Adams through this part of Phoenix. And make some really nice bus stops for it. Not really nice, but just, you know, really functional. So I find this interesting. This stand here was put in as part of Phoenix Bike Share program, and I air quotes around the term bike share because sharing implies, well, you know, sharing. People giving things to other things freely to use, and bike share was never bike sharing at all. It was bike renting. Well, the ones that the city of Phoenix went with, which I think was a company called Grid, have long since faded away and disappeared. But I find it interesting that the platforms that were put here for the Grid bikes are being used by Lime, both their scooters and their bikes. So at least somebody's making use of that. Bug button. Wait. Can only imagine what downtown Phoenix was like back when people didn't have to wait for cars to get across the street. Good to see the rapid buses still up and running. I do miss riding those to and from Amazon. The rapid buses actually are, in my opinion, one of the better features of Phoenix's transit. All right, we got a tour bus parked over there. Actually looks like a space that's dedicated for that. That's interesting. Makes me sad when I walk by here that the Wells Fargo Museum is no longer here. It used to be right over that way. In fact, most of this tower now to my left is sitting empty. I never understand why the city of Phoenix does this all the time. They write parking permit required, and they bag up the meters on metered spaces. Here's a beautiful Orpheum Theater. That's where I met the legendary folk singer Donovan. I would love to get to see Donovan again. That guy was really cool and put on a hell of a great performance. All right, we got a Tesla Model Y rolling by. I have no idea if I'm going to be finished with this court hearing in time to get to work on time. At this point, I'm not even really worried about it. I as much as I love my job at MLS, I feel like it's holding me back. So one thing that transpired last Thursday when I had the meeting regarding Jesse, beyond the fact it was made very clear to me that Jesse was way more valuable to me than me, and that I was looked at expendable and he wasn't. So that was a little disappointing. And then them telling me they don't want me messing with electric anymore, which, by the way, I had people asking me to do stuff with electric cars last night that had the authority to tell me to do that. And while I did generally try to stay away from them, I did handle a couple because it became very clear that the majority of the up-down drivers, which they have a really high turnover with those people, not only are they not capable of charging them, they're not trained on how to charge them. A good portion of them don't even know how to drive them. So yeah, that's a thing. Anyway, the biggest issue is I'm just not making enough money there. Yesterday, now granted, because of the court thing, I couldn't have done it anyway, even if I wasn't burdened by the obligation to be at the job at MLS making inadequate money. But WorkWhile, as I had mentioned before, is now dishing out the shifts for HelloFresh that I used to get through Wonolo. I just realized my left shoe's untied, so yeah, we're back to Dan trying to figure out how to tie and keep his shoes tied. I've been getting better at that, by the way. It's clear I'm not going to get the bonus that was offered on WorkWhile for completing so many HelloFresh shifts by a certain deadline, and I thought the odds of that were pretty minuscule considering how little availability I have for that, especially once I realized I was having to wait for a checker background check. Apparently this time around with checker I passed it because I am eligible to work jobs there through WorkWhile. It's opened up to me, and they've been offering them to me, and I'm getting text message when they're available. But as I was getting ready to go to work yesterday, I was offered $200 to do the night shift that I'm used to getting paid $171 for. Oh, I would have loved to have done it. I'm like, yeah, that's basically job abandonment. Just straight up not showing up to go to work another job over at MLS, which I don't quite feel like I'm ready to do yet. But also with court tomorrow, yeah, I didn't need to be working all night to the point where I was getting off work at 5:30 a.m. when I need to be down here at 8:30 a.m. On that note, it is about 8:30 a.m. I need to get to the courthouse. So thanks for coming with me on the walk.